Hi, I'm here with Wolverich Knobben, the co-chair of the GNSO review working group, who just finished their work a couple of weeks ago and submitted their report to the board. Wolverich, thank you for talking to us. Welcome. The implementation process for the review is obviously it was a complicated road. I assume. What was your experience? What worked well for you? How did you organize your work? Were there any challenges?
Well, I remember from the beginning, it was a lot of work where you couldn't see any end of. That is, and the experience came from not actually from the to look at the implementation, but looking back to the review itself. The review itself took already 2 years to come to those recommendations to be implemented, and then you had to find a team which is ready for the implementation work. So that was one thing. On the other hand, what was good, you had from the review team an experienced team which in part you could rely on. But the difference was that the chartering process for the implementation team was a new process, within the GNSO, an additional one, which was taking time. So, and this, I think, was a challenge in order to start with. When I remembered, we started with chartering the team or finding out, who should join the team. And when we could begin with that, it was almost 4 months already left. So that was something. What was good, what was very good, we had an experienced staff team as support. And that is one of the major pillars, I would say, for the work, to be successful in such a work, to do this work.
The GNSO is a very diverse stakeholder group, and so I was wondering how you made sure that the stakeholders and the constituencies within the GNSO remain supportive of the work you are doing.
So, as you know, every stakeholder group and constituency from the GNSO is sending a member, and in case this member cannot participate, an alternative member to the team. However, over the time, not all these people are going constantly to participate in the work. So we had sometimes teamwork and meetings where only 3 or 4 members showed up. And then we had question marks whether we could do the work to get support afterwards. So I tried also in cases when we had little participation to continue with the work, and then afterwards immediately go back to the related constituencies and stakeholder groups and send them the information of what we have done and ask for confirmation or ask for comments. So that was from my part, with my constituency, it was a constant work, and I trusted to the other members of the team that they would do the same.
And do you have any tips you wanted to give to other chairs? We have a lot of implementation teams that are starting the work now. How kind of you and your other co-chair, Jennifer Wolf, organized your work? Anything you think that others might be able to benefit or learn from?
Yes, I think one prerequisite for the work is to establish a reliable work plan from the beginning. So that's the asset you have, and that's what we did. And I think also Jen was professional in this sense, and also we had good support from staff. We had a good working model with these so-called charters for each recommendations. So that is a background where we relied on, and then we were working on a plan, on a tight schedule, and we made that public. And if you have a reliable plan, which is then accepted in between by the various constituencies, then I think that is the basis where you can have success with.
And you were talking a little bit about the recommendations there. I know that the work, obviously, of the implementation is dependent on the wording of the recommendations. Do you have any thoughts on or if you want any tips or advice for future reviewers, how to formulate their recommendations better, to make it easier to implement, to make them more useful, or do you think that the way they were worded worked very well for you in this instance?
This is a real problem. Good question. Thanks, Lars. Because the problem is, I don't think the problem is the formulation of the recommendation. The problem is the time difference from when the recommendations have been created and have been agreed by the council, and when it comes to the work of the implementation team. There could be a time difference of 1 or 2 years in between. So people working on that, they don't know what is the background of the recommendation. So you have to educate them, or you have to take an eye on that people, when you go for the next recommendations, tell them, okay, please read this recommendation exactly, and we try at first to go to have a round of discussion of understanding the recommendation, which is essential. So if we would find a better solution on that, how we can keep people educated in this regard, that would be helpful. I don't have a final idea on that, but this is a point you have to work on.
And then finally, one more question. You had to report, I believe, to the Organizational Effectiveness Committee of the board, the OEC, on a biannual basis every 6 months.
Yeah.
Is that something that was helpful, or was that a burden? Did that help you to organize or focus your work?
Well, I would say it didn't matter. So because it didn't, let me say, impact our work. It didn't impose any push, to our work. That we had to say, okay, well, in 3 months we have to report to the OEC, which is a board committee, so we have to hurry up also. No, we did what we had on plan. The plan which I told you, a reliable plan, is the asset you have to have. And then we build on, and then when it came to the report, we put that to the report what we did in the past, And that's it, and made it in a form which I think it was understandable to the OEC then. And also to the council. We had to report to the council as well. So that's the way we did. So there was not any big push, that we had in the background here.
Well, I think this is all the questions I have. Is there anything else you can think of that you wanted to maybe give advice for future chairs who are going to take up the work?
Yes. Well, there's an ongoing discussion via public comments and other means on the review process itself. It's a long term, it's a long going thing. So, and I would, if I go to an implementation again, so I would try, well, even to accelerate this process. So how to do that is a question. The first thing is, I think the council, when it comes to the review itself, it should from the beginning also think about the implementation. So in terms of, well, it could be done in terms of whether that what is going to be done, could it be implemented, or where would be the difficulties? And on the other hand, also maybe that they are thinking of how to create an implementation team very quickly after the review is over. So these both things, so I would advise, so they should take an eye on that and think about whether it could be improved.
Well, Vori, thank you so much for your time, and I hope I'll see you in 2021 for the next GNSO review.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.